Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. Lambert and I have a new game for you today. It's called Multiplication Tic-Tac-Toe. It is great for the upper grades and as the game implies, you do have to know multiplication, so this might not be the best for my kinders or my first graders. I promise I'll get you next time. But there are different ways to modify this game, so if your child is just starting out with multiplication, don't worry. Okay, so some materials you're going to need. You're going to need some paper to make your game board. You're going to need some paper clips to keep track of which numbers you're multiplying. And you're going to need a bunch of playing pieces so you can keep track of which spots are yours on your game board. So you want a different color for you and your partner, or a different material, just something so that you know who is who. Another way that you could do it is once you make your game board, you can slip it in a sheet protector and then use whiteboard markers on it. It is a little bit tricky to make the game board, and so you're going to want to be able to reuse it instead of make a new one every time you play. Okay, so multiplication tic-tac-toe. So you're going to be multiplying and you're going to want to be able to get a certain number in a row. It's up to you and your family how many in a row you want to do. A little bit easier, you just need 3 in a row. To make it a little bit harder, maybe do 4 in a row, 5 in a row, even 6 in a row. It all depends on what game board you make. Okay, so to make your game board, this is kind of the standard version. In this version, I'm going to be multiplying the numbers 1 through 9. So on my game board, I want to write all the products of these multiplication equations. So what I mean by that is if I multiply 1 times 1, that equals 1. So I need to write that in my game board. 1 times 2 is 2. That goes in my game board. 1 times 3 equals 3. That goes in my game board. You're going to keep going until all the different possibilities are written down. Now you'll notice that I don't have any repeat products in my game board. So let's take the product 12, for example. You can either get to 12 by multiplying 2 times 6 or 3 times 4. But even though there's multiple ways to get there, there's only one 12 on my game board. There it is. There's only one. So you don't want to repeat those products, okay? So this is a standard game board. As you can see, I mixed my numbers up, but you can write them in order if it's a little bit easier for you to find your answers that way. An easier version, let's say your child is just starting out with their multiplication facts and maybe they only know numbers, the multiplication tables up to the 5s and maybe the 10s. So your game board might look something like this. So you're only multiplying 0 through 5 and 10. And so this is a much smaller game board, right? And it only has the products of these numbers. Now, in order to make mine a rectangle, I did end up putting in 2 20s because I just needed an extra number. So that's fine too. You can adjust it for your family's needs. And if you want to go a little bit harder, your child's practicing even more multiplication facts, right? You can make your game board even bigger. So here I have all the different products of the factors 1 through 12, okay? So with a game board like this, you can have more than just 3 in a row. With a smaller game board, right, it's going to be hard to get those big long rows in there. Okay. So I'm going to just play with the standard, and I'm going to be playing for 2 different players, the orange team and the blue team. Okay, so let's get started. So these 2 paper clips are going to be keeping track of which 2 numbers you're multiplying. And so those go down below here. And so these numbers are your factors. Those are the ones you're multiplying. So to start out, if I'm player 1, let's say orange goes first. Orange gets to pick which 2 numbers they're going to start with. So let's see, I want to pick 3 and 5. So I've just placed the paper clips here pointing at the numbers that I'm multiplying. So now I make the multiplication equation. 3 times 5 equals 15. I can take my orange playing piece and put it on the number 15, right there. Now it's the next person's turn. So blue team's up. Blue team now only gets to move one paperclip to a number that they want to choose. So let's see. Since part of the multiplication tic-tac-toe strategy is to block the other player, you don't want them to be able to get 4 in a row. As the blue player, I'm noticing the number next to the orange player's piece is 40. Now, they have the factors 3 and 5. I can get to 40 by multiplying 5 by 8. So I'm going to leave the 5 paperclip where it is, and I'm going to move this paperclip, and I'm going to put it on the number 8. So the blue player's equation is now 5 times 8 equals 40. So they're going to put their playing piece right here. Now it's back to the orange piece, right? Again, they only get to move one paperclip. So looking at the numbers, if I want to do 72, I can do 72 by having an 8. So I'm going to keep the 8 where it is, and I'm going to move this paperclip to the 9 and do 8 times 9 equals 72. So orange gets to put a piece here. Now, the blue player, there's a 2 right next to him. There's no way I can make a 2 with an 8 and a 9 by only moving one paperclip. So I'm going to have, as a blue player, I'm going to have to change my strategy. Maybe I want to block the orange player in over here and do 81. So you are allowed to place both paperclips on the same number, right? So I now have 9 times 9 to get 81. Okay, like that. So play would continue like this until somebody got 4 in a row, or whatever number your family has decided, 3 in a row, 5 in a row, whatever works for you. And that's it. You can always play again. You can just wipe your board. If you're playing with the whiteboard markers, right, you just color in the squares to show who has that piece, and then you can just wipe it off and play it again. So I hope you like multiplication tic-tac-toe. I will see you next time.